Today, I'm going to look at a film that was meant to be a pilot and never picked up, remastered in HD, and I've had multiple people ask me if Gene Roddenberry was involved in this film. Today, I look at the 1971 pilot film, Earth 2. And thank you very much for joining me in this review tonight. I just want to also let you all know, if you're interested in getting this film, I have affiliated Amazon links in the description and in the comments. If you pick it up that way, it's going to help my channel out immensely, which I would really appreciate. Another way to help my channel is to sign up for my Patreon. My Patreon starts as low as $3 a month. We have a lot of exclusives over there. And once again, it really helps this channel, and I'd greatly appreciate it. Today, we're taking a look at a recent release from the Warner Archive collection called Earth 2. I'm going to be very honest. I'm going to be reading the description here of the film that the studio put out here in a couple of minutes. But I do want to say, going into this film, I knew literally nothing about it, okay? So I just want to be very clear about that. But the film itself, this disc itself, is a Blu-ray release. It's one disc. The main feature is 97 minutes. Earth 2 came out in 1971, released by Warner Brothers as part of the Warner Archive Collection on March 25th, 2025. The suggested retail price for Earth 2 is $21.99, and there are subtitles, English, SDH. It is 16 by 9, but with 1:33:1 side mats, DTS HD MA 2.0 mono, and it's this is one BD50. It's takes up a lot of disk. It's a very healthy bit rate for this film. Now, what I'm going to read here once again is from the Warner Archive collection. This is what they put out about the film. In the peaceful space colony called Earth 2, even toy guns are banned. But something far more dangerous threatens this ideal world: a Chinese satellite armed with 3 nuclear warheads. The citizens of Earth 2 decide to disarm the warheads. Originally produced by MGM as a telefilm and a pilot for a projected television series, it wasn't picked up. Now, like I said, and I think it's worth, I really feel like it's worth stating here, I wasn't sure what I was getting into watching this. And why I say that, because, in my mind, something like this, which Gary Lockwood, who stars in this, he was in 2001, A Space Odyssey. In my mind, it just kind of all drifts together, as our conversation about Gene Roddenberry will prove. And I thought, am I going to get bored by this? Is this going to be one of those 1970s sci-fi films that try to get very cerebral? Those are the type of films that have very weighty concepts, and there are people who like those. I get that. I personally am not, so I wasn't sure what this was, and so I when I got into this and started to see where the plot was going, I was immediately feeling a little bit better about everything else. And the reason why I thought maybe this was going to be very cerebral is because I had thought that Gene Roddenberry had something to do with this film, okay? I thought that was the case, and so I looked up the credits before I got this disc, and he had nothing to do with it. Not a thing to do with it whatsoever. And I thought, I don't know where I got that from. I don't know why I thought that Gene Roddenberry was a part of Earth 2 here. When I posted that I was going to do this review online, I had about 3 people reach out to me, and they were all like doing the same thing. They're asking me, is that the film that Gene Roddenberry was involved with? And I'm like, No, it's not. But then again, I started to wonder again, did I get it wrong? Is he a part of this and I just wasn't, like, I missed his name? So I had to do some research here. And so the answer is no. Gene Roddenberry is not a part of this. What we all might have been confused with was his series in 1974, his film in 1974, Genesis 2. Like, this is Earth 2 with Roman numerals. That's Genesis 2 with Roman numerals, okay? From 1974, which had Mariette Hartley, who actually is in Earth 2. So she was in both. Then we could have been confused by his series, Planet Earth. Or perhaps the series that was made after he passed, Earth Final Conflict, okay? So we have those. None of them are Earth 2. Okay, so we got that out of the way. He was not involved in Earth 2. But Earth 2 should not be confused with Earth 2. And Earth 2, that this isn't, is Earth 2 with a numeral 2, where this is Earth 2 with the Roman numeral 2. So I think we got that straight. This is from 1971. That part I know. Earth 2, Roman numerals. Like I said, I thought this might be very weighty and cerebral. This film is not, okay? The plot was actually, to me, very interesting. From the very first piece of the film, you have this sort of, like, before Earth 2, the colony, which is actually a space station hovering outside of Earth. It takes place a few years before Earth 2 with a launch. And right away there is, dare I say, intrigue with the plot. And right away it seemed like, okay, this is going to be a little bit different than some sort of weighty sci-fi content. And like I said, for me, I prefer that personally, okay? The plot, so the idea is that a space station is its own sovereign entity. Okay, it's its own, like Vatican. The Vatican is its own nation. Earth 2 is its own nation. Now, how that was voted on, we see at the beginning of the film, and that's a bit daft. But nevertheless, that sets up the whole film for what we're about to get. And so the idea was that a very democratic government, where literally everything is voted on, is on the space station. So the space station, very democratic. Everything is voted on. Everything is put to a vote, and the station is not armed in any way. So there are no missile defenses, no way to protect itself. People are not allowed to bring any kind of guns on board. Like I said in the description early on, kids are not allowed to have toy guns brought on board. It is very, very serious. Gary Lockwood, who plays David Seville, he's in charge of the community, and he takes this democracy very seriously, which, in my mind, he takes it too seriously to a fault. Tony Franciosa plays Frank Carger, who sees the inherent dangers of a community that cannot defend itself. So now in space, and backtrack a little bit, Tony was involved with at least the flight where everyone voted on whether Earth 2 would be its own sovereign nation. He was a part of, whether that's NASA or whatever it is, I don't know if it was explicitly named. He was a part of all of that. And so, because there's even a comment made that it's like, Tony, you did such a good job getting, like, this project off the ground, and Tony, which is actually, his name's Frank, Frank then says, basically, I did the project well, but I don't believe in this concept, which is of this sovereign nation that cannot defend itself. So even before Earth 2 came to fruition, there's a piece where they realize that the Chinese government wants to put a stop to this, and that would happen at the very beginning, which right away got my interest. I thought, this is, there's some intrigue here. I like that a lot. But now in space, the Chinese has this massive rocket that's just orbiting right alongside Earth too. Not, relatively speaking, not too far. It's not an imminent threat. It's not necessarily pointed at them, but it's close by where it makes someone like Frank, who just joined Earth 2, he uh, just landed or just was shuttled there from Earth. It makes him very nervous. And Frank wants to do something about it. Frank believes that Earth 2 needs to take a kind of a progressive strike of some sort against these Chinese missiles, because he believes that the Chinese is bluffing and that they're not going to do anything at all. Um, but for them to get that far, there has to be some votes taken. Actually, they could have gone much deeper into that. I think it's either good that they didn't or too bad they didn't do more. If it went to a series, perhaps they would have done more. It's a very interesting concept. I actually like this plot. Um, I like that it shows how a community like this can change its views really quickly based on one person coming on board that is not part of the status quo. That probably people who lived on Earth too, and I don't remember how many people actually live on there. I actually, that's a really interesting question. Um, that how much one person can change suddenly how that colony is going to move forward. Really, what Frank wants to do, he wants to defend Earth too. And quite frankly, no pun intended, when I'm thinking about this and when, I'm watching this, it's kind of like, why wouldn't you have any kind of missiles? Why couldn't you, even if it's not missiles to, fire on the Earth, maybe some sort of anti defense mechanism in case of asteroids or a meteor or something like that? Seems kind of short-sighted if you ask me. Uh, Now there are some plot holes. There's some things that are just kind of makes me, like, for example, just what I just said. I wasn't even thinking about that, with just the lack of defense, that space could need some kind of defense like that if you're going to have a station in space. But people do stupid things in this film. And I know that that's generally accepted for people to be able to move the plot along, but at the same time, people are doing some really dumb things, and you kind of are just like, "Oh my god, really?" Characters like Marriott Hartley, her character is Lisa Carger. That's Frank's wife, and she seems to have access to whatever she wants in the station. And is that part of the democracy too? That there's no security once you are on board. You can basically do whatever you want. I mean, there certainly didn't seem to be police of any kind, security of any kind. Once you get on board, it's like a checkpoint, and then after that, you're kind of left to your own devices. And that's one of those things that maybe in the series it would have been developed a lot more. I don't know. There's some really, when the community is trying to figure out what to do with the Chinese missiles, what to do with peace, with the colony being about peace. There are some great speeches as to why to keep this community unarmed. Uh, but once again, how, that's really a pipe dream once you really get down to it. And maybe, and I can't imagine with 1971, with Vietnam going on, I can't imagine that people would have taken that too terribly seriously. Nowadays, too, it's like I just don't think there is such a way to do something like that. We want peace, but that to me seems like an impossible dream to create a whole civilization around it. Even the Vatican has uh, guards. Even Vatican has police. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Um, there's some odd things in the film that I kind of scratch my head about. There's a point early on in the film that Frank picks up his kid to look out a window, and he picks him up by the crotch between between the kid's legs. He picks him up. What is that? I'm sorry. It's weird. Don't tell me it wasn't weird in '71. It's weird now. It just like because it was just like I'm watching. It's like, wait, what is he doing? I'm not saying it's sexual or weird. It's just dumb. I don't know. I just don't understand it. The special effects in this film, and it's a big part of this film, uh, is it's in space, and the special effects are kind of hit and miss. I'm not going to lie. Uh, there's some good effects. Like there's some like just some ships flying around the Chinese missile rocket. I thought looked really good. What doesn't look all that great is the space station. That looks actually pretty ropey, and it looks very flimsy. You look at something like Deep Space Nine, that's a space station, and it's like, yeah, it looks kind of fragile, but it's beautiful. This Earth 2 just doesn't look, it looks small, even though it's meant to be huge. And it just doesn't really work for me. It's just not great. And I'm not a fan of in the film, it's constantly spinning. It's just spinning. It's like, is this meant to happen? And it sounds like that because I looked it up. Like, do our space stations now are they spinning like that? And they don't. But it sounds like that in a lot of films at the time, they would spin the models for something like that for centrifugal to give the impression for centrifugal force. I don't know. It's kind of silly, but as it turns out, the spinning of the space station in this film actually plays a big part in the overall film, in the overall plot. So there is a reason for that. I also read that was a very expensive film to make. As it was hoped to be a series, they put a lot of money into it up front, but they certainly didn't spend it on the space station exteriors. Those, like I said, not the greatest. The interior of the space station looks a lot better. It goes from like clean white in some areas to kind of live in sort of early 70s, not shag, but certainly paneling sort of thing. It's very interesting. Looks very comfortable, to be honest. But there's also a lot of shots with weightlessness, like conveying weightlessness. So that's probably where a lot of money went as well. There's a lot to it. So, I can imagine that all played a part in it. I found myself actually liking this movie. I wasn't sure where I was going to land, but I ended up liking this movie more than I expected. Um, I think it could have had a lot of stories to tell as a series. It's actually a shame. It's odd because I've seen many pilots for series that became series, but the first episode is either boring or dire to me. And I'm going to point out one that I've never liked, no matter how many times I've tried to watch it. Star Trek The Next Generation, Encounter at Farpoint, is probably, to me, one of the most boring first episodes of anything ever. They throw a lot at you in the first 15, 20 minutes of the film, of Star Trek, that is. And, but overall, it's just does not do anything for me personally. This has a lot going for it in the first, just being a first film. I think it would have been great. Though the way I understand it, Gary Lockwood, who was in the film, he was also in Star Trek. But Gary Lockwood was actually happy that this didn't go to series, as he didn't enjoy the time making it. He thought, it sounds like that he didn't like the complexity of filming it, which I'm assuming like the weightlessness, and he's part of a lot of weightless scenes. He's wearing heavy astronaut costumes and stuff, and he has such a lethargic approach to the role of his role that sometimes I wonder if he was even still alive. It's actually kind of puzzling how just, it's like, are you high the entire film? Because he is just so chill. Even when things are happening that maybe you don't need to be so chill about. It's a very strange portrayal to me. Another fun plus is that Inga Swenson is in it. Remember her? She was Gretchen Cross from the 1980s sitcom Benson. And here, and I'm not saying she wasn't beautiful in Benson, but here she's absolutely beautiful. She's younger. It's just she plays a very beautiful role in this. Though how her story ends in the film is it's a little it's kind of funny to me, I guess. And if you watch it, I'd like to know what your thoughts on it. I don't want to give anything away. Also in this film is Lou Ayres, who is credited as a special guest. He plays guest star. He's credited as special guest star. He plays the president of the United States. And I know the name, but I only really know him from Salem's Lot as James Burke. Get out. Now I want to talk about the quality of this film. Okay, it's like the quality of this disc. Okay, it's another fantastic 4K scan that is sourced from the camera negatives. This release also features additional footage intended for international distribution, not part of any previous release. Now, obviously, I don't know the film well enough to tell you where that falls within the film, but once again, it just goes to show how Warner Archive went a little above and beyond to give us the best experience possible. And nothing seemed jarring at all. It was really fun. Now, some shots at the beginning I thought were soft, but then I realized that these seem to be rocket footage from NASA, like footage that they got from NASA or whatnot. The footage that's shot for this film in particular is actually very sharp. It's beautiful looking. It's a very nice transfer, which is what I'm starting to get more from. It's very enjoyable. It might not do the effects any favor in some areas, especially with the space station. That's just my opinion. But overall, the film looks incredible. It's really well done. And once again, as I mentioned up front, the Warner Archive is focusing on putting a film on a BD50, which means a very healthy bit rate. That's incredible. Okay, that's for a 97-minute film. That's really pretty incredible. And I love that they do that. And long may it continue. Let's talk about extras here. Once again, Warner Archive Collection doesn't have a ton of extras to it. For this, there is a trailer, and it must have been the theatrical trailer for the film, and that is in 16:9. And I think that the trailer does a really good job of making the film look a little bit more exciting than what it really is. Though, I mean, the film itself doesn't do too bad in that regard, but this really kind of amps that up a bit for it. And once again, I've mentioned this before, and I'm going to mention it again. When it comes to the Warner Archive and that they have these films, I don't need new promotional fluff material that sometimes come on films just so that we could say we have extras. I'm more than happy with just the trailer. I am much more than happy with a really high quality Blu-ray of this film that I can really enjoy. And once again, I had someone ask me when I talked about I'm doing Warner Archive stuff. They're asking me about, the fact that their Blu-rays are, are rewritables, BDRs. They're not. They're pressed. These films are, the Blu-rays and the 4Ks are on pressed discs, okay? And they are stunning. These are really nice releases at an affordable price. Now, the cover for this, I think it's funny. If you look at the cover for it, it's this really nice kind of action shot on Earth 2. You know what this reminds me of? Roughly around the same time, a little bit after this. Anyone get the Atari 2600, the Atari console and the games, and all the covers for the games had these really dynamic sort of action art pieces that looked just like this. And to me, that's the first thing that came to mind. The funny thing about the Atari 2600 releases is that they had these dynamic art pieces that really was like, ooh, this is really cool looking. And really, all you ever had when you played Atari 2600 was basically, a square hitting like a circle. That was your game. It's just amazing. The effects are much better in Earth 2 than they are in any Atari 2600 game, that's for sure. Um, One thing I want to do here when I was watching this over the weekend, and I'm not going to do it all the time, but I thought, if I can find the original DVD that Warner Archive put out for this, which was a long time ago, nearly 20 years ago now, I want to see, because I do this for a lot of my other videos, I want to see a quality comparison. I want to be able to show somebody who maybe bought Earth 2 on DVD why you'd want to upgrade. And for those who are curious to know what the old releases look like, I wanted to show that. And I said to myself, if I can find a used DVD of Earth 2 for $5 or less, I will get it. And I found it. You're worth $5. And so I picked one up and had it sent to me. And since this is the first time on Blu-ray, I wanted to show the comparison between the Blu-ray and the DVD. And I want you to see it. And you want to see the quality of the work that went into it. Check this out.
May I have your attention, please? With the exception of Frank, Lisa, and Matt Carger, you've all been cleared to the B3 domiciliary unit. This is Sheila Johnson. She'll direct you. If you will just follow me, please.
Excuse me, ma'am. Could you tell me what the problem is?
I'm sure it's nothing. We have a temporary hold on you and your family from our customs people.
Well, is there anyone in customs that I can talk to specifically about
Frank?
this? Oh, hiya, Jim.
Welcome to Earth 2.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Now, my rating system, like everything I do, is wordy, okay? So, my highest is highly recommended, to watchable, to not recommended. I was trying to find something else to use for recommended for the third one. Barely recommended, that didn't sound right. This film I put in as recommended. I was surprised that this film held my interest as much as it did. If you're a fan of sci-fi genre, especially from the 1970s, I say this film is recommended. I think that you should go check it out. If you love watching new films that have been restored, and sometimes that's what I want. I may not know the film, but knowing that a lot of work went into it to make it the best presentation, yeah, I'll give that a chance as well, even if it's a genre I'm not totally interested in. The Searchers being a great example of that. I think to me, it's better than some sci-fi concept films out there, but it is a little let down by some stupid character decisions throughout it and some less than stellar effects. But I do recommend this for anyone who enjoys the genre. And it doesn't even have to be sci-fi. It's also people who, may have always wanted to see pilots for TV shows that never quite made it. This is an expensive one, so you should check it out if that's the sort of thing you're into. Now, I said my next review was going to be Cheyenne, and Warner Archive has not sent that set out yet. I can't imagine that there isn't possibly some delays or something. It's going to be a big set, and I know that they had to change the packaging on it at least once. And my plan is when I get the set in, I'm going to do an unboxing video because I want to show people what the packaging looks like for the set, and then I'll follow up with a more fleshed out review. So once I get that, I will be working on that. And as I said last time, I'm working on the London Weekend Television series Catweasel, and I am working on my next Doctor Who on BBC Video, The 10th Planet. That is coming together very nicely. I'm going to try to get that out sooner than later because Some great footage is coming about from that. Folks who know what I'm talking about, I don't mean episode 4. As always, if you pick up this release, let me know what you think of it. I'm curious to know what you like about Earth 2, what you don't like about Earth 2. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know. I'd love to know. Thanks for watching.